Yo, what is up guys? Welcome to the video. I hope your night is going great. Mine is, and we have a really good video tonight. We're going to start off with the playoff race breakdown. There are so many teams right now in the league who have a chance at making the playoffs and also have a chance at missing out. Like literally, rank 2 all the way to rank 8. London Spitfire, Los Angeles Valiant, Boston Uprising, Los Angeles Gladiators, Philadelphia Fusion, Seoul Dynasty, and the Houston Outlaws all have chances to make the playoffs and have chances to miss out. So we're going to cover the standings in depth and see who I think will make it. As well as that, we'll take a look at stage 4 playoffs and see how much of a chance the Dallas Fuel have to make those. And now let's go ahead and get into it and take a look at the standings. And currently, right now in the Overwatch League, Seoul Dynasty and Florida Mayhem are tied at 2-2. So I'm going to wait for this matchup to finish before we start talking about this. I don't want this video to be super outdated for Seoul Dynasty. And overall, this has been a really exciting match. I thought Florida Mayhem were going to take this without a doubt 2-0, but it seems like Seoul Dynasty, they're going for that reverse sweep, and we're heading into Nepal. So we'll see after this matchup, guys. Alright, so there it is, guys. The Seoul Dynasty defeat the Florida Mayhem in map 5. 2-1. It was extremely close, fun match to watch. Unfortunately, that last round was 100-0, but it is what it is. Anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at the standings now. So the only team that is safe and secure is the New York Excelsior. They're set. London Spitfire, there is a chance they drop out. If they lose every single match, and we see the LA Gladiators, Philadelphia Fusion, Seoul Dynasty, Boston Uprising, LA Valiant, them all win their matches, they're out. It's definitely one of the least likely scenarios, and that goes for the Los Angeles Valiant too. So these two teams are more than likely safe, but there is danger. Worst case scenario, they're out. Then moving on to the Boston Uprising. 2-3 weeks ago, the Boston Uprising looked like they were set. They were sitting at rank 2 overall. Well, now they've lost 5 matches in a row. And if they keep losing, they're going to be out because look at the standings. They're only 1 match ahead of the 7th place ranked Philadelphia Fusion. So there is major danger for the Boston Uprising now. They must pick up 1 or 2 wins to guarantee that they are going to move forward. Luckily for them, looking at their schedule, they do play the Shanghai Dragons. They do play Florida Mayhem, 2 teams that they relatively have beaten overall throughout the season no matter what. So Boston Uprising definitely need to pick up a win here. If they do not, then they're definitely at risk of not making the playoffs, guys. Because I don't know if 22 wins is going to be enough, because look at these next 3 teams behind them. Seoul Dynasty, LA Gladiators, Philadelphia Fusion. Relatively good teams. Philadelphia Fusion, they've won more than they've lost. LA Gladiators, they've won more than they lost. Even Seoul Dynasty has won more than they lost so far this stage. So if all of these teams win 2 more games and Boston Uprising doesn't win a game, they're going to be at 23. Boston Uprising is going to be at 22. They're out. So it's a close race for Boston Uprising right now. They must start winning out. Looking at Seoul Dynasty, LA Gladiators, Philadelphia Fusion now, these teams are neck and neck. And what I think is super exciting is these 2 teams right here, Seoul Dynasty and the LA Gladiators, they are going at it in the very last match of the Overwatch League. Well, it's not the last match, but it is on Friday, June 15th, and this could very well decide the winner, as well as this match with Philadelphia Fusion, London Spitfire. This can decide if Philadelphia Fusion moves on or not. Same with this match against Florida Mayhem. There's just so many exciting matches in this very last week that are going to determine who moves on, who doesn't move on. And right now, it's starting to look like San Francisco Shock and the Dallas Fuel are playing gatekeepers for a lot of these teams. So it's really cool seeing them improve near the end of the season. Even though they can't make it, they still are getting wins. Now, as for the Houston Outlaws, they are not dead and out yet. There still is a chance. It is the most grim one ever. They need Philadelphia Fusion to lose. They need 2 of these 3 teams to basically lose out. And then the Houston Outlaws themselves needs to win out. If the Houston Outlaws somehow wins their next 5 matches, they'll be sitting at 24-16. Now, it's highly unlikely, but if they do, 24-16 is a decent record to move on. They're taking on the Florida Mayhem tomorrow. Then they have the Dallas Fuel, LA Valiant, Philadelphia Fusion, New York Excelsior. The match they will lose is the New York Excelsior match. So let's say they win 4 of the next 5. Houston Outlaws, they'll be sitting at 23-17. That's not a bad record. That is possibly enough to move forward, even if the Boston Uprising lose out. And if some of these teams only win 2 matches, it could come down to a tiebreaker between the maps. So Houston Outlaws is not out, but they must win their matches. They have to. And I don't know if that's possible for them. Now, looking at Philadelphia Fusion, LA Gladiators, and Seoul Dynasty, they are currently tied. So whoever wins more matches than the other teams moves on. So let's go ahead and look at their schedules real quick and see who has the easiest one. Looking at the LA Gladiators, it's rough. New York Excelsior, London Spitfire, Seoul Dynasty, those are relatively hard teams. They've beaten them in the past, especially the London Spitfire, but London Spitfire is looking really good right now. Birdring, he's playing out of his mind, so they could be a huge challenge for the LA Gladiators. I would rate this schedule, since they do have New York Excelsior, this is probably out of a scale of 1 to 10 hardness, I'd say 7 or 7.5. Then moving on to the Philadelphia Fusion, they have the San Francisco Shock, Seoul Dynasty, Houston Outlaws, and London Spitfire. This is another relatively hard schedule. I mean, London Spitfire, they're pretty good. Every time Houston Outlaws and Philadelphia Fusion go up against each other, it's a game 5. Yeah, Philadelphia Fusion has won every single time, but there's a chance they could lose this. Looking at their match against San Francisco Shock, San Francisco's looking great this stage. They've picked up wins against some pretty good teams. They did lose to the LA Gladiators, but so did Philadelphia Fusion. And then this match right here, Friday, June 8th, Seoul Dynasty, Philadelphia Fusion. This one is going to be a big one. It will determine which team goes ahead of the other one in the standings. Rating this out of a scale of 1 to 10 of hardness, I'd say it's either a 6.5 or 7. Slightly easier than the LA Gladiators because they don't have New York Excelsior, which is a guaranteed loss. These are all winnable games for Philly, but they'll probably lose one. Then moving on to the Seoul Dynasty, looking at their schedule, they have the Boston Uprising, Philadelphia Fusion, Dallas Fuel, and LA Gladiators. I'd say relatively decent. Boston Uprising, they've looked really bad so far. Probably an easier match there. Then they have the Philadelphia Fusion and the LA Gladiators coming up. Now, these are huge matches. Seoul Dynasty, it's in their hands. If they win these matches, they are moving forward 100%. So Seoul Dynasty have big matches coming up. They have Dallas Fuel, who are playing spoiler, comparable to the San Francisco Shock. I'd say Seoul Dynasty overall does have an easier schedule, though. Boston Uprising, Dallas Fuel, yeah, Dallas Fuel is improved, but they did lose the San Francisco Shock, so I think Seoul Dynasty has a decent chance at winning this. I'd say their overall schedule is a 6, 6.5 when it comes to toughness. These two matches are huge, though, so we'll see. I don't know which team's going to make it, guys. It's super close. Seoul Dynasty, they look pretty bad against the Florida Mayhem today. LA Gladiators, Philadelphia Fusion, overall they've looked really good. But LA Gladiators did take a bad loss against the LA Valiant earlier on this week. And the Philadelphia Fusion, they took a bad loss against the LA Gladiators. So it seems like Gladiators have the edge over Fusion. But we don't know where Seoul Dynasty is sitting. It's going to be crazy, guys. I can't wait to see these matches. Now, real quick, let's look at the Stage 4 playoffs. Dallas Fuel are sitting at 3-2-5, currently tied with a whole bunch of teams. San Francisco Shock, Houston Outlaws, London Spitfire. So this is kind of up for grabs, this 4th spot. It depends which one of these 4 teams start winning out for the rest of the season. I mean, even Philadelphia Fusion can creep up and get this spot. As for the top 3, these guys are pretty much guaranteed to make the stage playoffs. So we'll see, guys. Even for these Stage 4 playoffs, everything is up in the air. I have no idea who's going to make it. And I'm out of here, guys. Peace.